It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white-knuckle racing, now with eco-friendly Honda engines. Nice little warm indoor karting facility. They've got a great heating system there and an air circulation system, so you'll be able to be taken care of when you go down and race at Joe's Karting. It's still, I mean, let's be honest, it's freezing lately. It's still a little chilly, but it's better than racing outdoors at some of those outdoor karting facilities that your snot's going to freeze to the side of your face if you go and race at those places this time of year. That's not going to happen at Joe's. By the way, the new hashtag for Joe's should be no frozen snot on your face.
Yeah, you go ahead and get that one on Buddy's list there.
Okay, I'll coin that. I want all the royalties for thinking of that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put that on their T-shirts.
That'll come. That's a good T-shirt. Don't give me. I mean, come on now. Give me a little credit. That's a good T-shirt. A little caricature of a guy. No, anyways.
No, how about just picture you?
All right, I'll do it. I'm fine with that. Turn number one, we're going to talk about the Pick'ems contest. We're finally ready to announce the 2016 Pick'ems contest, the prizes, and the rules. So we'll talk about that here in turn number one. In turn number two, originally we were going to talk to Doug Lovegrove, who we talked to a few weeks ago and recorded that interview. But because of some of the off-season news, basically Brian France stood in front of a podium and gave the state of the sport address, and really kind of...
It was as good as the State of the Union address.
They've come up with some things that we're going to talk about. Let's just put it that way. Turns 3 and 4, Larry Eckrich will be our Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series. So that's the way the show stacks up for today. So without further ado, let's announce the 2016 Front Stretch Pick'ems Contest rules.
Yay! Yay!
You actually scared me. I was like, what is happening? What was that noise? Great. Now I got to get my train of thought back. That's not very easy. Not much is going to be changing in 2016. I think we've got a pretty good system here. I talked to a couple of the participants from last year's season-long contest, and they were pretty happy with it, so I think we're just going to stick with the way it was. Now, one thing you and I kicked around after last season was possibly adding in like a buy-in feature, like $5 or $10 to get into the contest, and then all of that money would go towards a prize pool at the end.
Brian France would have done that.
I think he might have enjoyed that, but we've decided because of all of the issues that are going on with DraftKings and
fantasy sports gambling,
right, that we're going to keep it free. So it's absolutely free to participate in this, and you get some pretty cool prizes. So let's start off with the season-long contest, and this is the one that runs the entire length of the NASCAR season. It goes from Daytona all the way to Homestead with a nice little mix-up, 27 races into it as we create the chase scenario. So all contestants must email their picks to frontstretch590@gmail.com before the green flag waves. And that's just kind of that's an easy one. So there's a couple of different scenarios, like, obviously there's going to be some Saturday night races. There's mostly Sunday races. There's a couple of Sunday night races.
And a couple rainouts.
I will do my best to make sure that you guys are well informed of when the green flag is. And that's within a couple of minutes because it all depends on the networks and it varies from weekend to weekend. But roughly they're going to be about 15 minutes past the hour. So get your email in by the hour. So if it's a 2:15 green flag, get your email in by 2 o'clock just to be safe. And make sure you email. You got to email it, frontstretch590@gmail.com.
And the emails get timestamped, so There's no way around that.
And we had a couple of situations last year. We had people that were in poor cell phone area, and they sent the email, but it never left their outbox. So what I had them do is take a screenshot of that outbox because that's got a timestamp when it tried to leave, and I'll count it after that. So you'll be able to get it in, even if you don't get it. I mean, if there's something that comes up, then just let me know. There's always extenuating circumstances, and I'll work with you on that. We'll work with you on that. But you got to send your email by the time the green flag waves. And a big one is the rain situation. So a lot of times the race will get delayed because of rain and a wet racing surface. As long as the green flag does not wave, the race is not locked. You could still make your changes. And we've actually had people that have made their pick for Sunday's race, but then it got rained out and it moved to Monday morning, or Monday mid-morning, and it was a different type of day. So it was a cooler day than yesterday was a hotter day. So they changed up their pick because they felt, well, this guy's better on a cooler track than a warm, slick track. So you're able to change your picks right up till the green flag waves.
And you also have to keep track every now and then with a weather situation. NASCAR will move the start of the race up half an hour to an hour.
Right.
So you got to keep track of that too.
Keep your phones very handy during race day. I'll keep you up to date via the emails of 1 hour till green flag. Make sure you get your picks in, last call, that kind of fun stuff. Rule number 2 is that if a contestant does not get their pick in before the green flag waves, then they're just kind of SOL for that weekend. They don't get any points. Rule number 3, contestants can only pick the same driver twice during the regular season and once during the postseason. Now that's a little bit confusing because we kind of work with you a little bit. A lot of people like to hold on, and let's just what it is. They like to hold on to Jimmy Johnson for the chase, because if Jimmy's in the chase, if he's still locked in for those rounds, he is a knockout kind of a guy.
Well, same with this season with Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
He's already missed the first third of the season.
Right.
You know, you could save him and have him for an extra shot in that chase.
Joey Logano, who got hot during the postseason last year. So there's drivers that are going to get hot at these certain tracks. So you can pick them once during the regular season and twice during the chase season, or twice during the regular season and then once during the regular season. You get 3 picks overall, pretty much. You got to use up your 3 picks by the time Homestead, the checkered flag waves at Homestead. The rule that always seems to trip people up, and this is the one that I think is kind of one of my favorites, is that you cannot pick a driver more than once within 5 races.
Except when the chase starts. So you can pick him in race 26 at Richmond, which is the last regular season race, and you can pick him the following week because the chase is like a whole new season.
Correct. It's an entirely different season as far as we're concerned. So then the final one is that the contestants receive the championship driver points their driver was awarded by NASCAR for that weekend's race, including any bonus points. That also includes any penalties the driver may get. Now, with the new chase format, championship driver points penalties are not very common because, quite honestly, it doesn't matter as much with the win and you're in scenario and all that kind of fun stuff. But we had this scenario happen a couple of years ago at Kansas. Matt Kenseth was penalized for having an illegal engine. He received a 50-point driver penalty. Now, I point out driver because there's owner points penalties and there's driver points penalties. We go off of the driver points penalties. Matt appealed the process and ended up receiving, I think it was like a 16-point.
15, I think.
Okay, so he ended up only taking home like 20-some points that weekend. So then anybody that took Matt that weekend only got 20-some points rather than the full 48 for winning the race, the bonus laps, and all yada, yada, yada. So that's how the first 26 races go. Then we do the chase for the We do the chase format that starts off with Chicagoland. So 15 contestants will compete for the Pick'ems contest chase. The 15 contestants will be set from following the race number 26 at Richmond, and the following criteria is win as many races as you can. What was it? Last year was 3 was the cutoff. There was a couple of people who got 3 wins but didn't have very many points, so they got eliminated from the chase. The top 15 with the most wins, then sorted by championship driver points, are going to get into the chase. Does that make sense?
Well,
so
I
first
think
by wins, then by points.
Well, I think you'll have at least 15 with 1 win, so I don't think that'll be an issue.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, especially with Harvick at Phoenix, and I mean, we could go off the list of all the different drivers that are so good at other tracks that it's kind of a surefire bet.
Well, and we're getting so many contestants.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's almost somebody picking the winner every week. It wasn't quite every week, but pretty close.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, another one of the rules is that if during the first 26 races you happen to miss 4 or more picks, so you forgot to send your email, whatever it happens to be, then you're eliminated from the chase. So that will allow somebody else to get in. I know we had a couple of guys last year that were eliminated because just circumstances happened.
Health issues.
And they were eliminated. Well, let's just take, for instance, there was one contestant that had some health issues and was eliminated because they were unable to get to their email and send in picks. Had they alerted me and been able to work it out to where they would have been able to start picking at Chicagoland, I'd have probably let them in the chase. You and I had that conversation to figure out if we should do that, but there's medical exemptions. There's exemptions to all of this stuff because we understand that life gets in the way and this is just a game. So we'll work it out to keep you in the chase. Heck, if NASCAR can let in an extra driver, why can't we?
Well, I mean, we're not curing cancer here. We're here to have fun.
Exactly. And we're here to give out prizes and to like you said, have a good time. And I have a great time doing this. It's a lot of fun interacting with all you guys, all you contestants. Starting with race number 27, the top 15 contestants will be reset to 2,000 points. Contestants will get 3 bonus points per win during the regular season, the first 26 races. Contestants that do not pick a winning driver but make it into the Pick'ems contest chase based on points will not receive any bonus points, but will be reset to 2,000. Like you said earlier, we had that scenario to where everybody who got into the chase had at least a win. They had 3 wins was the minimum that got you in. So starting with race number 27, all contestants will be allowed to pick a driver for the third and final time or the second and third and final time. But make sure if you take a driver twice during the chase that you don't violate the 5-week rule. So keep that in mind, too.
If you've got a driver for 2 picks, you need to use one of those picks in the first 4 races is what it amounts to.
Right. Any tiebreakers will be broken by wins on the season. Second tiebreaker will be determined by most top 3 picks, then top 5 picks, then top 10 picks, and so on and so forth as we get winners. But we didn't have any ties last year in the contest as it all shook out in the end. So that's the way that rolls. Also, the people who don't qualify for the chase, you could still keep competing. We had a couple of guys who I think they entered the chase at like 21st, 22nd, 23rd, ended up getting 16th and 17th. So you can still shuffle around and get up to that 16th position. And by the way, I think they got an autographed Brad Keselowski hero card. So just because you finish outside of the chase doesn't mean you're not going to get a good prize. We've got a lot of really good prizes. And I think we're going to throw a wrinkle in this year because you are the unofficial reigning champion of the Pick'ems contest. We're going to throw in a little extra stuff. What have we got?
Whoever becomes the champion, if they beat me, is going to get to start off with an autographed Brad Keselowski Miller Beer cap, and it's a real neat cap.
It's go over to our Facebook page. We posted it on Wednesday morning, and it's an old school Miller High Life hat. It's nice and bright red. It's got that, I don't know, that rope across the front of it, like those old, my dad used to have a ton of those hats.
Do you know why those are on there?
No, I don't actually.
Those little ropes are on there because of an import law. With that strap on there, it doesn't become a hat or advertising. It becomes a toy for some unforeseen, unknown reason.
Oh, wow.
Because I asked the same thing when that happened when I was working at that sporting goods store. Why are all these hats now coming with this goofy little rope across the front of them? Well, that's got to do with the import taxes.
I thought it was just kind of a goofy fashion back then, but I guess so. It's autographed by Brad Keselowski,
and it's a toy.
So yeah, the 2015 Pick'ems contest, you actually won the contest, but because you're a co-host, you can't win. So Dale Smith actually ended up being the winner. So the way it rolls is that we will keep track of your picks and all your points and everything. You'll be in the very first column on that spreadsheet, so people can kind of keep comparison. And I'll do that in the rankings too. I'll keep you in there. But if anybody, the first person that beats Dirk in the 2016 contest, automatically you're going to win that.
Yeah, see, and if 10 people beat me, like if I forget to put in my picks all season, and 10 people beat me, we're still only going to be one champion. So there's only going to be one person getting that hat.
Right. So you got a tough hill to climb because I think you beat Dale Smith last year by some 20, maybe 16, 20 points.
I was going to say it was in the high teens.
Yeah. So,
and we are going to try and add to that little prize there too as the season goes on. I've
emailed all of the PR directors for the Cup Series, and I've emailed all the Xfinity Series, working with the dirt track drivers for Lucas Oil, World of Outlaws, SLN, NSL, SSN, all the series drivers to get a bunch. I mean, listen, we had, I think, over 250 items in the Pick'ems contest prize vault by the end of last year.
We had almost that many lug nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had a lot, but I think there was somewhere around 90 autographed items. There was a bunch of lug nuts and some souvenirs and stuff like that. So we've got plenty of things to give away. The Pick'ems contest is absolutely free. You can email me, frontstretch590@gmail.com to get signed up. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in turn number 2, and we will talk about rule changes for the 2016 season for all 3 series. We'll be back here on the Front Stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
This is Andrew from Kosiski Auto Parts. Kosiski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kosiski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kosiski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kosiski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 2, high, wide, and you better believe Dirk and I are handsome. Dan Taylor, Dirk Houston joining you on the front stretch. And again, we'd originally planned to talk to Doug
Lovegrove.
Thank you, Doug Lovegrove, but because of the announcements from Brian France earlier this week about some of the changes as far as the Xfinity and the Cup Series or the Camping World Truck Series is concerned, we decided to push Doug back a couple of weeks, and now we're going to talk about some of these changes.
This is as close as we can get to a breaking news alert.
Exactly. You know, it's a little bit difficult when, well, frankly, I don't want to get up at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Actually, it's about 6:30 on a Sunday morning during an off-season show. So I apologize if my coverage suffers a little bit, but deal with it. I'm actually okay with it. We do a lot of live shows during the regular season. But anyways, the first one I wanted to talk about is the chase format making its way down to the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series. I like this a lot. I think that it is a tried and true system up in the Cup Series. It's worked. Fans really like it. The ratings are improving during those last 10 races, and it adds value to the last couple of races because years before, I know you could talk about this probably just as many times as the race came down to maybe the last 2 races of the season. It also was wrapped up 5 races before in certain seasons to where somebody just had an absolutely fantastic, consistent year and they had that championship wrapped up. We've seen that a lot in the Camping World Truck Series. Now, this year, the Camping World Truck Series went down to the wire. This year, the Xfinity Series, Chris Buescher had a cushion, but if he'd have had a mechanical error or made a big mistake, then he wouldn't be the Xfinity Series champion. So I'm excited about this to make its way down.
Well, the part that bothers me, and it's more in the Xfinity Series, because you have so many Cup drivers that drop down in there, not earning any points. Their point system is so messed up anyway, because let's just say Chris Buescher wins the race and he gets, all the points to 48.
Right.
There might be 10 Cup drivers behind him.
Yep.
So the actual second place guy that's going to get any points doesn't get the second place points. He's going to get 30 points.
The second place Xfinity driver.
Right, exactly. Right. That's such a huge swing. See, if they did the points different and started with the first driver and whoever the second Xfinity driver is, whoever the third Xfinity driver is, and gave them the right points, just like they would in a Cup Series, the point system would be totally different. Buescher might not have won the points.
Now, it looks like NASCAR has said that all Cup Series regulars are not allowed to race in the Xfinity or the Truck Series races at Homestead. They're not allowed to race that race.
Well, that might be tough for Xfinity to fill a field then.
They'll find a way, but I think farther down in the Cups and the Truck Series too. I mean, I guess there's plenty of young guys who are able to get into a seat for what's a truck race? Probably 75,000 to get into a truck race.
There's only a couple guys periodically, like Brad Keselowski will drive one of his trucks, or he'll have Joey Logano drive one of his trucks. Kyle Busch drives down there. Other than that, you don't see the Cup drivers driving down there like they used to in the Truck
Camping
Series.
World Truck Series. Right.
So I don't see it a big deal there, but the Xfinity Series, it's definitely a deal. And I don't like the fact that they're cutting down. I mean, they do 3 less cars in the race. Cup race has 43 cars. Xfinity race has 40, but they're taking a bunch more drivers out. They're not using 16 drivers for the Xfinity Series, are they? I think I read they were starting with 12. And they're doing 8 races?
Yeah, 12 races, 12 drivers, and 2 elimination rounds with 4 drivers competing in the Championship 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway.
So there's 8 races, I think, is what they're starting with, not 12 races or not 10 races like the Cup Series does.
Correct, because the entire format starts on September 24th, which for Cup Series that's Chicagoland. For Xfinity Series, I'm sorry, I can't pull up. I don't know when that is, but because they have 2 less races during that 10-week period, then yeah, it's 8 races. And then they all end at Homestead. And then I think it's even less for the Truck Series.
Correct. The Truck Series, I think, has 7 races. But see, like I said, the Truck Series is different. It's on its own platform. I mean, They only start 30 trucks. They're not even starting 40 or not even starting 36 like they did just a couple years ago or when I worked in the series. Mm-hmm. But with the Xfinity, which is right next door, and there's so many conjunction races, I think they should have rethought their schedule and had 10 races and done it the same way as the big leagues done it.
Yeah.
Instead of making it different.
But they also have to keep in mind that the Xfinity Series, and you know this, I'm not telling you anything, I'm just reminding the listeners, that the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series, they have a real responsibility to save money in those 2 series because the Cup Series is outrageously expensive.
Well, and they're trying to save money everywhere.
Right, right. I think it's much more conscious at the truck level and the Xfinity level, and maybe adding races to the schedule isn't.
I'm not saying
add
them.
No, I know, but
move them.
But yeah, but I think that's a conscious thing that they're looking at now. I think as I'm sitting here listening to talk about that, do you think this makes a win in the Xfinity Series even more valuable because those Cup regulars come down and race frequently in the Xfinity Series? So being an Xfinity driver, getting a race win is, I think, now with this new format, is way more valuable because for those guys, race wins can be hard to come by.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Xfinity drivers don't win half the series races. So,
right.
When you're Harvick's and Casey Kane,
Keselowski,
Jr.,
Brad,
and Logano.
Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I mean, we could sit here and name off probably, 15 Cup drivers that regularly, I think 10 regularly make their way down to the Xfinity Series.
I'd say it's an average of 10 or 12.
And by the way, while we're sitting here debating that, it's a conversation that we can have more and more and more, but that's a tough thing for NASCAR to say is Cup Series guys aren't welcome down in the Xfinity Series.
They're never going to say that.
Because of the fact that helps sell tickets.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I can go to Iowa Speedway, watch a good Xfinity Series race with Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Joey Logano for $25-$30 as opposed to a Cup race at Kansas is going to be much more expensive. So I've got the opportunity to save money and still see my favorite drivers race.
It's also into the learning curve for these younger drivers.
Right.
I mean, when they get past, and they'll tell you, especially in a practice situation, I just got passed by Kevin Harvick going into turn 3. And he beat me by 10 car lengths through turns 3 and 4, so I tried his line. I went and followed him next time around.
Right, and so what we're just trying to get to here is while you may be sitting there at home going, these Cup Series guys shouldn't be allowed to come down, they shouldn't be interfering, they shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. There's a lot of value for the teams, for the other drivers, and for NASCAR having those Cup Series guys come down. Plus, there's value for those Cup Series guys because it makes them better on Sunday.
It's a win-win for everybody. I just think they ought to do the point series different, and the Cup drivers should not be they don't earn any points for the series, so they just ought to bunch everybody else up and give them those type of points.
Well, and the good thing is that NASCAR, it seems, we've talked about this over the last couple of months, NASCAR seems to be very open to modifying things.
Oh, so that's for sure.
We may see a modification. I doubt
we're going to talk about a modification here in about 2 minutes.
I doubt we'll see any kind of real modification this season because we had that big debate last year about the Talladega race where they
made the one change for the one caution.
I didn't see that made any strategic difference for teams that were prepping for Talladega. You know what I mean? Like, they could have made that change Sunday morning, and as long as the crew chiefs had the opportunity to say, okay, there's only one green, white, checkered, so I can actually use more tires, use more gas, because I know we're only going to go once, and I know we're not going to go long into this race. So for this scenario, as long as they're not mid-season and then they say, we're going to change it, well, then that changes up my season strategy. So I don't see NASCAR making a big change this season, at least before Daytona kicks off in a couple of weeks. But maybe we'll see some modifications in between before the 2017 season that brings this down a little bit to work better in the Xfinity Series. Because it's incredibly difficult to take something up in the Cup Series and apply it to the Xfinity in the Camp and Roll Truck Series when it's different series.
Yeah, you won't see a change in it all year long. I'll guarantee you that, because it's a whole year-long process. And, I mean, it might look kind of silly 3/4 of the way through the season, but it might make for a heck of a chase in either one of those two series.
All right, we're running out of time to talk about this. We only got about 3 minutes to talk about this. So we've got the caution clock that comes into effect for the Camp and Roll Truck Series. This was a big announcement on Tuesday, and I was quite frankly shocked that they did this. I said it to you in a text message. It feels a little gimmicky to me, but I'm willing to give it a shot because I think, one of the biggest complaints people have at these 1.5-mile tracks that the fields can get spread out and then it gets to be kind of boring. So the way it's laid out now is that whenever the green flag waves, there's a 20-minute clock that starts. If a caution happens before that timer expires, then the timer is stopped, and then when the green flag waves, the timer is reset, and it goes again for 20 minutes. If the timer expires, caution comes out, and the field is bunched back up. They're allowed to do their pit stops, and then they restart the field again. Inside of 20 laps, besides a couple of races, they're not going to do it at Pocono, and they're not going to do it at Road America. They're also not going to do it at Eldora. They're not going to use this clock at Eldora because it wouldn't work with that format. The format we all kind of feel like they should be doing for every race. Yeah. But that's the way that rolls out. Now, before you reiterate or you kind of take your side on this, I wanted to point out some stats that I came up with. I was crunching numbers earlier. Okay. It's tough to do this for 2015 because when you throw a caution, it throws out the entire scenario. But at Iowa Speedway, for a Camp and Roll Truck Series, they're running about 24-second laps. The leader, the guy who won the race, actually ran, I think, a 23.5, as to where the guys that were still on the lead lap run about 24.5, so I averaged it out. That would be about, I think, what was it at 50 laps at Iowa for a Camp and Roll Truck Series before the caution clock would expire. That was actually exactly 20 minutes. That would have happened once in the June race. That clock would have came into effect because there was a 72-lap run there. So that would have came into effect once. After that, it never would have came into effect. So we'd have seen it once at Iowa. And then at Kansas, they're running 31-second laps, so it's about 39 laps before the clock expires. We'd have seen it twice. It'd have been both at the end of the race. So, and actually that second one at the end of the race wouldn't have happened because they'd have gotten to the 39 laps. They'd have gotten within that 20-lap window before the clock expired. So both of those scenarios is kind of, so we'd have seen it once at either of those tracks.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure, and I tried to look into it and tried to think like NASCAR was thinking. I don't know, like you said, if that clock's ticking down and at 19 minutes and 50 seconds they hit the 20-lap to go mark, are they going to throw that caution with 19 laps to go, or are they going to turn the clock off, or is it just the clock's not going to start inside of 20 laps to go? Well, they didn't really say.
Right. I would assume that this would play much like a play clock or a game clock in an NFL or an NBA game. When the game clock is less than the play clock, then the play clock doesn't run.
Well, yeah.
I would assume, and again, this is assuming, that if we reach that 20-lap window before the clock expires, then the clock goes away.
But see, we're talking apples and oranges here. Like we're saying, like we're talking about a basketball time clock. That all makes sense,
right? Because
the time clocks are synchronized. Mm-hmm. We just looked at the fact that it's 50 laps at Iowa. Mm-hmm. It's not 20.
Yeah. So
it's apples and oranges. If you're going to turn it off, then you need to turn it off at 50 laps because you're not going to hit that 20 in there.
Well, but that depends. I mean, they're going to keep it running because we could get a caution.
Yeah.
So but the clock doesn't. The only time the clock really matters is when it hits 20.
But that's what I'm trying to explain to you, though. When you're doing your scenario of a shot clock, it makes no sense. Okay, 45 seconds on a game clock and 45 seconds on a shot clock are the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 laps outside of Daytona is not 20 minutes anywhere, and Daytona it's even close.
Right.
So if you're doing 50 laps at Iowa, is 20 minutes long, then once you're inside that window is when you ought to click the watch off.
Yeah, and I guess that's something that, like I said, I was assuming that if the clock hasn't reached its 20-minute restriction by the time they get to that 20-lap window, then they would stop the clock and let the 20 laps play out. But they may. You know what? That's kind of the confusing thing about this is they haven't. At least anything I've read so far, they haven't said anything about that, and I'm sure it will be addressed in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be too. They'll straighten it out a little bit, especially the first time it happens and everybody freaks out because everybody will have a different opinion on it.
Exactly. All right, we got to take a caution. Our 20-minute window is up. We're getting red flagged here.
No, that's a black flag.
That's true. We'll come back at turn number 3 for the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series featuring Larry Eckrich. Don't forget to sign up for the Pick'ems contest, frontstretch590@gmail.com. For Dan and Dirk, we'll be back on the Front Stretch.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the Front Stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the Front Stretch.
Heading into turn number 3 here on the Front Stretch, about to kick off week number 2 of the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series. This week we're featuring Larry Eckrich from around this area, and Larry, gracious enough to join us this morning on the show. How you doing this morning, Larry?
Real well.
Well, when we talked to you about a week and a half ago, you were just about ready. Actually, I think you were getting ready to go on vacation, but then you decided to get your hip replaced.
Well, they had a cancellation.
Okay.
I was on a hip replacement thing, and they had a cancellation, so I turned right around and came back, and I'll have it done tomorrow.
Yeah, so hopefully everything goes good for you on that, but let's talk a little bit about your racing career. Give us the rundown of what got started when it came to Larry Eckrich Racing.
Well, we were drag racing when we were in high school, and I thought that was the only thing to do, but we got rained out one night, and so we came back to West Liberty, and I built a motor for Gail Brenner, and anyhow, I helped him at West Liberty, and he won his first late model feature. So that kind of turned me to racing oval track instead of slot car racing. So Gail Brenner was my first driver.
Was it oval track from there on out, or did you still get over into straight track racing once in a while?
Well, no, it was oval track from there on out. I mean, we won a big race that was a drag strip down in Cahokia, Missouri, and it paid a whopping $400, and we were down there damn near all week. So the second place guy didn't get nothing.
So
anyhow, we started racing with Gail Brenner, and then Gail, I don't know why we broke up, but anyhow, I had our next driver was Steve Kepler. He's deceased. Poor guy. He only ran for us a couple nights, and then he went back to his other team. So then Phil Larson, who is my brother-in-law now, took over the ride and drove for me for a year, and we had some success. And then he wanted to go fishing in Canada.
What?
And it was near the end of the season. It was a Yankee. So anyhow, Tom Hurst got in the car. And that was kind of the start of was Tom Hurst. He drove for us for over 5 years. And then he went driving for our promoter up here at Farley, Keith Simmons. And so I didn't have a driver, so I called Roger Dolan up, and Roger drove for us one night down at Davenport, and we won the race. And that was the start of that.
Were you always a car owner, or did you drive it all yourself?
Oh no, I never drove. I never drove.
You never got the itch?
Oh yeah, yeah, but I knew my abilities. But, my wife just pointed out that Kurt Hansen drove for us between Roger and Hurst. Yeah, I guess I didn't. I forgot all. I left Kurt out. Kurt drove for us for a full year, and we won several races.
Yeah.
I just found, Larry, I just was doing some research and came across that same fact. When you say Roger Dolan, that you guys really, well, you won the first Busch All-Star Tour Series, beat Steve Kosiski by a point, and the next year, Joe and Roger.
That's right.
Joe and Roger battled it down to the last week for the national championship, and Joe won, and I think in '87, then Roger and you guys won.
Yes, that's true.
That had to be a real rivalry with the Kosiskis.
Oh yeah, they were good people though. Steve Kosiski and my boy Denny Eckrich they're the best of friends. They talk to each other probably at least once a week, if not more than that. But
was those guys your favorite rivalries, or did you have other ones you enjoyed?
Oh heck! Later on, we had different rivals, but that all goes with racing.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, when Ray drove Verse, why Webb was our rivalry, Gary Webb. And then Webb was going to drive for me that one year. But then he, about time that got ready to go to the track, I'm getting a backfeed on this all this time. Can you?
Dang it!
Can you turn it around?
I was afraid of that. Do you have a landline? Do you have a landline you could call us on?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that, because I think it has to do with the digital cell phone number that keeps... We had this problem last night, and it really throws off your end of it, because it's hard to talk like that.
Well, you want to call him, or...
Do you want us to call you, or you call us? What works better for you?
Well, it's if you'd call me, I can... Yeah. I don't even... It's 828-485-57.
What's the area code?
319.
Okay, I'll call you right back.
All right, call me right away. All right.
Yep, all right, bye. Larry, take me to your philosophy as a car owner. We've talked to a lot of drivers who have talked about, the car owners, some of them will be able to give you everything you needed, but some of them are working on a budget. Where were you at with your racing program?
We were on a budget at first. At very first. I can tell you, when, let's see, Dolan, no, before Dolan, clear back Tom Hurst. Why, we had a stove blow up in the house, and it was because of me. I was heating up some aerosol cans so that we could, powder coat the frame,
Mm-hmm.
And they blew up and ruined the stove. So
What color was your house after that?
It was the color of whatever we was trying to powder coat, I think.
Hopefully it wasn't pink.
No, it was white, I'm sure.
Okay.
But anyhow, back to our story. She fed us on a hot plate and the crew when they'd come up and work on the car for a full season so that we could buy a set of heads for that motor.
Instead of a new stove.
Instead of a new stove. And after we won this championship, why, we was able to buy a stove for her.
Good. How much has your wife been involved? How much has Penny been involved in this whole thing?
Oh, my goodness. She was with me all through drag racing.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that bleached the tires, and she was the one that helped me. I remember one time Hurst was driving for us, and we was going to Sedalia, and we didn't really blow the motor up, but we had trouble with the motor. Anyhow, we had to tear that motor down, and it was Friday night. We tore it down, and we had to be at Sedalia at Sunday or the next day at noon.
Mm-hmm.
So she helped me take the motor out of the car. She got the kids in bed and got everybody situated, and I overhauled that motor, rerun it, and ground the valves. I had to go over to the shop and use a valve grinder at the shop, but I assembled everything here at the house right here in this little garage that we raced out of at that time. But then we got the car loaded on the trailer. The motor, she helped me put the motor back in. We loaded it on the trailer, and she drove that thing to Sedalia, and I laid back in the back seat and slept. That was the only time I could sleep. And then we got down there and we lost the damn race.
Oh.
We were leading the race, and the rear end gears went out.
Well, at least the motor didn't give up.
No, the motor didn't give up. But we got there, and Tom was there with his crew and everything, and we didn't even start the motor, or time it, or even set the valves or nothing. We had to warm it up pits to get her ready to go on the track, and then we were so proud the motor didn't blow up, and then the rear end gears broke. So, oh heck, that was what did they call that series? It was called.
Was this with the wings on top and stuff?
Well, not really. It was, what's his name from Boone?
National NSCA.
That's it, NSCA, yeah.
Huh.
National
So we
Stock Car
ended up
Association.
losing that to Gundaker. I seen Gundaker the other day down in Wheatland, Missouri, and we was reminiscing them old things. But Gundaker broke, and then when he seen we lost the rear end gears, he put a ball joint or whatever he had to do in his steering and got the car fixed and made some more laps and ended up beating us out by a point.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Larry.
And Steve Kosiski,
Larry,
whereabouts
over there did you do all your drag racing at?
Oh, Cahokia, Missouri.
Cahokia? Is that just up in the northeast corner of Missouri up there? I've never heard of that track.
It's not. There's nothing there anymore.
Okay.
The interstate, the 27 or the Highway of the Saints, went right through it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've spent time. I've been over to Eddyville to drag race and up to Cedar Falls and Union Grove, Wisconsin. I drag raced over in that area, and I was just trying to figure out where you were racing at. Yeah.
Well, I think the last time I was at Eddyville, I knocked the Christmas tree down, and they kicked me out.
Yeah, they might tend to do that.
We did a wheel stand and knocked the Christmas tree over, and they kicked me out.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't have been good. But
that was kind of the end of my drag racing deal.
Hey, Larry, take me through being a car owner. Were you just the car owner, or did you do mechanic work and setups and chassis and that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, that's how we started. I mean, first we were building motors for other people, and then we got to talk. Well, Dale Cruisin. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but that was the car that we won with Hurst and even Dolan. It was I went and got the Holman Moody front end. I got the parts and talked to Holman Moody and got some measurements, and we made our own front end. So that car would really turn. The suspension was a leaf spring suspension, but them days that was the hot lash.
Yeah.
And we took springs and we'd re-arch them. I remember the kids when they were real little, we'd take the springs and would lay them out there, take each piece, run them across a piece of I-beam, and with a hammer, they'd keep pounding them. They'd go every quarter of an inch. And then we had a pattern we'd lay them against. And that, when we got every leaf spring bent, then we'd go ahead and bolt the springs together. And then that car had side bite like you can't believe with the leaf springs arched right.
Wow. We're talking with Larry Eckrich, who's a part of the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back in turn number 4, and we'll continue our conversation again with Larry Eckrich for the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Just about ready to wrap this baby up, heading into turn number 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Again, new hours, prices, everything's online at joeskarting.com. Karting with a K, continuing the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt series. This week's feature is Larry Eckrich, a famous car owner, chassis builder, all throughout the area.
Yeah, Larry.
Well, we
Larry.
started building our own car, and then we decided to go see Ed Howe. And I got to be good friends with Ed Howe. Anyhow, he couldn't set me up as a dealer right away because Gary Oliver down here in Davenport was our, he was close. He was within 100 miles of us. So anyhow, Ed said, well, I tell you what, you either move your post office down the road 10 miles, or he said, we'll set you up as a dealer another way. So anyhow, that's how that all came about. But Herb Bratton was the parts man and the guy that was 1/3 owner of House in that time, and we got to trading tricks back and forth, and they got showing me different things, and we had a deal in the car where Roger could actually adjust a wedge in the car in the driver's seat, and we never did get caught with it, but I was afraid we were at times.
Was it not necessarily according to the rule book?
I was in the gray area.
Okay.
Yeah, that famous gray area.
Depends on whose rule book, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's true. If it didn't say you can't do it, I guess you could do it.
Right. Larry, you've had a lot of success with a lot of different drivers. Did you have drivers constantly calling you wanting to come race for you?
Well, after they heard that somebody was going to retire or go fishing or go somewhere, drivers would call me. But I probably had some drivers that I turned down that I shouldn't have, but
like
I had a good eye for... I'm not going to say that. Heck. That'd piss people off.
Well, let's do that. Come on.
No.
Well, I remember Dale Fishline and Roger Dolan when they were both driving for you there in the late 80s. Now, I know Dale Fishline went up to North Carolina to try and practice his trade up there. Didn't Roger Dolan end up doing the same thing?
No. Roger's still here in Lisbon. Yeah. He just retired. His son drives.
Ryan,
and I see Roger at the track. I see him about every time his son's racing at the track we're at, which is we have some good talks.
Is Ryan doing late models now? I know Ryan was doing a lot of modified racing.
Yes, he is. He's driving for Red Raleigh's boy.
Oh, okay.
So anyhow, after that, Ray drove. But let me get back Fishline. He's driving. Yeah. He's down there and working for on the number 4 car, the Winston Cup car.
Oh, Kevin Harvick's car.
On Harvick's car.
Yeah, we've got a guy.
He's the shopman.
Okay, we've got a guy from Omaha that's one of the fuel guys on that car also. So, by the name of Mark Wolf.
Oh, sure. Well, that's what his dream was, to drive a Cup car or a Busch National sub. But you know the story behind that. It takes money.
Yes,
absolutely.
Just a little bit.
Hey, Larry.
Just a little bit's right.
Larry, you won a lot of races with a lot of great drivers, including Denny, your son, who's driven for you for many years. Any favorite wins that really were special?
Oh, the Yankees always one special deal. We've won that with Denny 4 times and with Ray once. Ray Gus Jr. Even his senior drove for us too. I guess a couple weeks. But Ray drove for Ray Gus Jr. drove for us for about 5 years. He didn't go fishing, though. He decided he wanted to start his own team.
And he's still at it.
Right. So, other than Fishline, most of the drivers either wanted to go fishing or they wanted to start their own team or something. Fishline wanted to go down there and be a Winston Cup driver, And I feel in my heart he could have. It's just that he needed a backing.
Yeah. What was, I think we've talked about, actually we've done a couple of interviews tonight, so I'm a little lost. What was your favorite win that you've ever won? Did we ask that?
Yeah.
Way to go,
okay.
Yankee.
Let me back up.
The Yankee.
I'm
the
remember that
Yankee.
now. I'm back. All right. What was the one win you wish you could have back, or a win you could get back? The one that you lost, maybe on the last lap, something broke. What was one you wish you could have back?
Man, there were so many of them. I know we were down there at Phoenix City, Alabama, and with Tom Hurst, and it paid $10,000 to win back in the early 70s, and NDRA, I guess they call. And we broke on about the 97th lap or something like that. But I guess there's several of them we lost. It just one of those things.
It happens from time to time.
All the time, it seems like.
Hey, Larry,
Yeah.
is it hard with your kids driving now? Is that tough to watch them race? I mean,
No, it's not tough. It's rewarding. It's rewarding. My dad, before he died, he that was his wish. He wanted the boys to drive the car instead of me hiring drivers. So when Dad died, that's what happened. His wish was our command, and he died at the Yankee too. So that's why it's rewarding to win at the Yankee.
So what do you have, 3 boys racing?
Oh yeah, we got 3 boys and a son-in-law. Chris Simpson married my daughter.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's
I know Chris, but I didn't know
that's
he...
Andy's twin sister.
Oh, okay.
Andy's twin sister, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I've met Andy before, and I know Dave and Danny.
Andy won the state championship several times too. And they was before NASCAR was over here in this area.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many regional wins we have right now. I think only 4.
With all the dirt tracks over there on the eastern half of Iowa, what do you consider your home track? West Liberty, Davenport?
Probably West Liberty. Yeah.
I love that track. I have always liked going there. I worked a lot of those Liberty 100s over there and just love that track.
There's something about West Liberty. It just has a feel to it.
Well, it takes a different deal. I seen Steve Kosiski win over here, but it's really hard for somebody to come from another track to win. It takes a different driving style and a setup.
Once Boley got it figured out, he was unstoppable there for a couple of years in the late 90s.
That was another guy that wanted to drive for us, and there was a grudge there for years. Oh my. We'd go head to head with him all the time, and I'm sure I put a couple stubs on the car because of him. So, maybe more than a couple.
Larry, were you ever a superstitious guy when it came to racing?
Oh, I was. Yeah,
really?
I didn't like green or I didn't like peanuts.
No fried chicken on race day?
And no fried chicken. Andy's wife, before they was married, we was going to a race at up there in Dubuque, and Andy won that Rebel in the River 4 times, I believe. But anyhow, we were going to one of the first ones, and we had to stop to get gas, so she went in and she was dying to eat, getting something to eat, and so she went in and got some chicken.
Oh.
So anyhow, we broke. We were leading the race, and we broke. And Andy says, on the way home, what should we do? I said, we should have threw that goddamn. So I said, we shouldn't have threw that chicken out the window.
I got a kick out of that because the first year we were doing this, Joe Kosiski was talking about how he used to play tricks on the Zeitner family, and they'd take chicken bones and throw it into the driver's seat, and none of the Zeitners would touch it. They didn't want it. They'd have to get somebody out of the stands to come down and clean out chicken bones because they couldn't touch it.
I could believe that.
Any kind of shenanigans like that you would do with other people in the pits?
Before Rick Winley drove for us, we took and put a dead snake in the seat of the car. An old garter snake. Oh, he wouldn't get near the car.
It's a garter snake. Those can't hurt you.
A garter snake. And it was dead.
Rick looked in there, though, and Rick saw a 12-foot boa constrictor. Rick saw.
That's about right. But then later on, Rick drove for us, and he said, I don't like snakes. I said, I realize that.
Was that in his contract when he drove for you? No snakes near the car?
That was the trouble. We never had a contract. We just had a handshake.
Yeah.
But, even Webb, we shook his hand, and he was going to drive for us, and about a week before the season opened, he came up and said, I can't drive for you. He said, I'm not GRT. Worked out a deal with him. So I lost my driver before it even started.
Yes. And Larry, you've been awarded with lots of accomplishments and accolades. What's something like, being inducted into certain Hall of Fames or stuff like that? What's one of those that really kind of sets aside from all the other ones?
Well, I tell everybody that my wife was inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I just tiptoed behind. So, she was the one that deserves it more than I do.
She had to put up with everything?
Well, not only that, she worked with us all the time. Like when we'd build motors, why she'd be out there putting stuff together or helping us. And, and she drove the race trailer. I know Hurst told me just a week ago when I was talking to him, he said, I was never so scared in all my life when we was going down to Phoenix City, Alabama. She was going down through the mountains, and she said, I was afraid if we ever got there, we'd have to win the race because she's going to kill me on the way down.
Did she enjoy doing it too, or was it just kind of she did it because of the marriage?
No. She enjoyed it.
You don't get that far involved without loving it.
That's right. She went to races before I even met her.
Really?
Yeah. You don't find too many girls like that anymore, I don't think. Maybe there is. My daughter's that way, though.
Would you let her drive?
Well, yeah.
You're not going to keep your baby girl out of a car?
We were just talking about it the other day, and we got some grandchildren, and there's 2 girls in that group that I'm sure would drive. And I'm sure they would. They wrestle with the boys. I'm sure they would just turn everybody's head.
Yeah. We asked that same question a few months back to Scott Bloomquist when we talked to him, and he had said his daughter, I think she was 7, and she did not want anything to do with the race car as far as he knew. She was a girly girl, and that just wasn't going to be her thing. So we started asking everybody about the kids.
That happens. And there's kids that our oldest granddaughter, she don't want to be around racing.
Yeah. Well,
I shouldn't say that. She goes, but she don't want to be involved like that.
Yeah, she just doesn't have the big passion for it.
Well, yeah, and she knows how much hardship there was.
Yeah. All right, Larry, we've taken quite a bit of your time. We do appreciate you joining us.
No problem at all.
And thanks a lot for helping us with this. We've certainly enjoyed talking to you. Have a great holiday season, and take care in 2016. All right.
Good luck with that hip replacement.
Yeah. Good luck. Come on.
That way, I want to get it done so I can get down to Florida and watch and be with the races when they're racing.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
See, Andy's going to Arizona, and then he'll go to Florida helping people. So I want to get my hip so I can go.
Well, good luck with that. It's in a speedy recovery to you, all right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Have a good one.
Thanks, Larry.
So Larry Eckrich is a part of the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series. Make sure you join us next weekend as Bob Hill, Dale McDowell, Lonnie Jensen. Well, Bob Hill's going to be next week, and then we'll follow it up with Dale McDowell, Lonnie Jensen, the Bob Trossel's Memorial Show, and Daniel Lasowski, Clayton Peterson Jr., Jim Wilson, and a few more still left to be confirmed. That's going to be the Kosiski Auto Parts Legends of the Dirt Series for this offseason. For Lee Ackerman and Dirk Houston, we'll do it all again next weekend as we talk with Bob Hill. Thanks so much for joining us, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back next weekend to do it all over again. This has been The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100 plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.